Hello everyone and welcome to the first update video from New Azona. Now last video we worked on just these roads and the traffic light infrastructure and the trams, but this video we're actually going to start on our first city block. So let's get started. Alright, so here is the start of our first building, of course in that very sort of Californian Mission Revival style, which is sort of a Spanish style. So it's quite low rise as this is a suburban sort of part of the city. So here we've got these nice circular arches which are going to be part of our restaurants. Okay, so here you can see I'm just continuing the build, and then I'm working on another style of build using the stripped jungle log and the sandstone, just to contrast with the white a bit, but keep to that sort of that warm creamy colour scheme. And then we're going to add a courtyard in the middle, and there we are. And here we've now finished more of the building. Now here's where a hair salon's going to be. Those are going to be some apartments, and if we sort of just walk round, you'll see I've also worked on a little balcony there. And we've got some shop areas here with a little courtyard in the centre of this city block, which is going to be accessible by that restaurant there. So along the main street I think are going to be a charity shop maybe and a supermarket, and above those are going to be some apartments. As you can see, I've experimented with another sort of facade over there, but I don't think I'll be continuing that for this video because now we're going to work on the central boulevard where I need to import some trees. Quickly though, a little detail, I think some bins would go nicely here. Okay, so here we're working on our roof where we're just going to fill it with smooth sandstone slab and then add some sort of ventilation using these rails, which is a classic technique I've used many times before. Okay, so here we're copying over some of the larger trees to go in this little planter here. Let me just replace where I've accidentally destroyed the top of this roof. And yeah, I think that looks pretty cool. I might just switch them around though, so the shorter one's there. Okay, so here we're going to start on our interiors, which are going to be highly detailed. Now usually I'd just use something like frog lights covered with trapdoors, but the thing is we want this to be able to be toggled on and off. So we'll need to use copper bulbs. Now the reason I'm using copper bulbs is because, well, redstone lamps are solid blocks, so they just cause some issues. I know this one can be solved, but they cause some issues where they also power the trapdoors and things around them. So here I'm working on the first shop, which will just sell some sort of knickknacks, and for the floor I like to go for a rich dark oak log, which is going to be stripped, and then sort of alternating directions to get this checker pattern. And here we are. As you can see, we've got lots of bookshelves, lots of shelves with like plant pots on tops and like wither skeleton skulls to just give it that knick-knacky look, like it sounds all sorts of random bits. Okay, yeah, and of course the lights are toggleable on and off, and we've got some fake sort of ceiling lights to sort of give the illusion that they're actually lighting it up, but we're changing the lights from below, of course. Now after lighting up the apartments above, which don't actually have anything in, we're going to work on the supermarket. Okay, so here we are. We've got more of a sort of cold, white, clean aesthetic here. We've got some random things sort of tacked to the end of the shelves. We've got a fridge there, and we've got sort of the freezer aisle along here, as well as some sort of cold shelves along there. Here is going to be our bathroom, but I haven't done that interior yet. Let me just do that. Okay, there we go. And here's our checkout, where you can see we've got a cash register and some lights from above this time. However, I haven't actually hooked up the bottom properly, so I'll do that. There we go. So those are our first two shops. It's looking really lively because you can actually see inside. Now let's just work on the restaurant and all the other stuff. Okay, so here is our location for our main restaurant. Now I think this is going to be a sort of Spanish tapas restaurant. Don't know why, it just sort of seems like it fit the vibe. So first I'm going to plan out the lighting as before. And then I'll add the redstone. I'm using target blocks sort of just to help me see where the redstone's actually powering. Not necessarily because it makes the redstone that much more compact. There we go, and I've hooked up the button. This time I've done that early on just to make things easier. So now we need to make some sort of fake lamps. Now for this I'm going to therefore use a yellow glass pane to make it look like it's glowing. And we're going to add some mangrove trapdoors around it. I've changed it out for white fence above because I think that looks a bit better. Now let's just dot these around the place, eh? Okay, let's take you on a tour of the Spanish tapas bar. Please wait here to be seated. And once you get seated, you can either go in the booth, as there are 2 booths there. And there's also some chairs and tables around. The lights do turn off, of course, as they need to in this city. It's the new building code, I guess. And there's a courtyard in here which I haven't actually finished. You will notice I have done the plants in there a bit more. There's a beach style tree. Now I know it might sound random, but in my local town in England there's a lot of hair salons, so I think it'd be fitting for me to design one for this first city block, because I think it's quite an interesting style of shop. Okay, so we've got a lot of space in here to work with. Let's go. Okay, so here we've got a small start. We've got some cushions on the sofas. We've got some mirrors, which is a classic design. And I'm very happy with those chairs. We've just got this sort of back room and the bathrooms to do there, which I think will be a washroom. Okay, now we've got some more decorations with some paintings and things on the wall. We've got the lighting hooked up, and we've actually got some sort of shampoo bottles. I also added some buttons to the walls for random detail. Now I'm actually hooking the light switch up to the wall, and we can now turn the lights off and back on again. There we go, lovely. Okay, next we're going to work on another restaurant, which is going to be similar to the one before, but it's also going to have a over-the-counter service area, and it's going to probably be a different colour scheme. So yeah, here we are. This has got a more yellow colour scheme, and more fake lights of course, or fans depending on what you think. Lights off, and lights on again. And through here would be the kitchen and the sort of over-the-counter service area for cakes and things. To the side of the first city block is where we're going to have the entrance to the apartments on the floor above. Now for the apartments I'm just doing the entrance, and I need to cover up these copper bulbs here, which I'll do with some dark oak trapdoors. You can see the interiors aren't really furnished, they're sort of just finished off to make it look a bit more complete. And upstairs it's also not furnished, because I feel like just having lots of rooms won't really add much interest to the city in terms of like the walkability and stuff. This is a little taster as to what's to come, because next video we're going to be working on the next 2 city blocks, which will consist of one large sort of department store and then another sort of mid-rise building and all the shops around that. So please do stay tuned, and if you're really enjoying this sort of style of city building, please do subscribe, it really helps me out. And I'd eventually like all the lights to be hooked up and sort of randomized together, just to give it that bit more life as they turn off or turn on in the night. I think that'd look pretty cool. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.